things first to make sure we know where we're going. So I know the driver's experience.
Dr. Anna Baptista.
And go straight down here, all the way down to Wilson Avenue. Yep. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome. You picked a beautiful day to come out and visit this great city and at the Ironbound. And better than that snow we got last week. And the first place we're going to go today, right now you're in the heart of what's called the Ironbound community. And it's called the Ironbound for lots of reasons. Really, people who live down here call it down neck, because if you look on a map, it sort of looks like the neck with a collar. And the collar is railroads that surround the community, both historic railroads, like the old C&R line that used to come from the Grand Central Terminal that is no longer in use, and active rail lines that come all the way up and down the East Coast. So we are called the Ironbound because we are surrounded by iron. And you will see lots of the remnants of that old industrial past as we go through the neighborhood. This is a very diverse, rich community full with many different ethnicities and backgrounds, people from all over the world. This has always been an immigrant community, a place where immigrants from all over the world come to establish themselves and find work. As far back as the 1700s and 1800s, the Dutch came, and at one point was called Dutch Neck. And then it was the Germans, Irish, Italian.
Anna, whereabouts do you want to go?
Straight down Wilson Avenue to the very end, and then we're going to take a right on Stockton Street, and that'll bring us over to 1 and 9. We're going to get on the 1 and 9 entrance. Yep, we're going to go 1 and 9 south. So today, this community is primarily Portuguese. We have a lot of Portuguese immigrants here, Spanish immigrants, and more today, Latin American immigrants, people from all over South and Central America come here, from Ecuador, Colombia, Peru, Central American countries. So it's always churning with new waves of immigrants that come to find a home here and work. And as far back as the Industrial Revolution, many of the workers lived and worked alongside factories and foundries, and there were many foundries and mills in this community. And you will see the remnants of that. We still, to this day, have a very industrialized base that surrounds the community. This section of Newark is part of the political East Ward. Newark is divided into wards, and there are over 50 to 60,000 people that live just in this ward. It's one of the most densely populated areas of Newark. And we have we have a lot of people under the age of 18. We have a very young population with a lot of the new immigrants that come in. So you'll see that in our schools. We have schools that were built. Our youngest school, the school that was last built in this community, was 1887. So we have very aging schools in this community. And we have very many problems with overcrowding, children having to take classes in hallways and basements. And we've recently had quite a few problems with a school that was built in the 1860s that has been closed twice in 18 months first for benzene contamination and now for black mold. And those 800 children from kindergarten to 8th grade have been displaced and had to be sent to other schools while their school is being repaired. So the fight for schools and quality education is a very big deal here. And here you'll see some housing, new housing that's built right along rail lines, Conrail lines, and the highways. We are also surrounded by highways. First came the railroads, then came the highways. And I want to show you a little bit of a map so you can get a sense of where we're going to go.
Want me to hold it up for you?
Yeah, maybe just to give people a sense of where they are. So here's the city of Newark. And this gray area that juts out, that's the Ironbound. And it's surrounded by rail on this side. This is the Northeast Corridor line. Rail on this side, which is Conrail, the New Jersey Turnpike, and many highways that you're going to see as we go out to the highway right now. Here's the Great Passaic River, which bounds us on the north, and empties out into the Newark Bay. And here we have the Port Newark and Port Elizabeth and Newark International Airport. If any of you flew in, you flew over right over the ports probably, and right over our community. We are in direct flight path of Newark Airport. And this whole area in gray is an industrial lands. And tied to the ports and the airports, this whole area used to be wetlands that were filled in the 1920s as part of the Port Authority of New York, New Jersey's plans to sort of industrialize this whole area. And so these meadowlands were seen as unwanted swamplands, sort of useless land. And so they filled it all in to develop lots of industrial and commercial properties. And this land, most of it is Newark, belongs to Newark, but controlled by the Regional Port Authority of New York, New Jersey, which is a very interesting political situation because it really puts our city at a disadvantage in terms of controlling important pieces of industrial land in their own backyard. And this regional powerhouse called the Port Authority of New York, New Jersey, one of the most powerful agencies in the country, controls, billions of dollars of tolls and bridges and the 9/11, the Twin Towers reconstruction. So they control a lot of this land and a lot of the industrial development that occurs down here. So now we're gonna head into the port area, and you'll see you're now at the outskirts of the Ironbound. You can look into the Ironbound from the industrial lands that surround it. And part of the reasons we have so many in this community, so many air quality problems, are not just the factories and the smokestacks, which we have, but a lot of the modern day air pollution that we experience is from regional transportation. It's from the massive highway system, the rail system. We have a major Canadian transfer line here, and from the airport and the seaport. And so all these things sort of surround and choke off our community with air pollution and servicing the regional transportation needs of the area. So we are going to, I think we're going to go by the airport first, and then we're going to see the seaport. So do you want to do a little bit about the ports?
Sure.